And some will succeed and some will fail. If you put in 20 species, your first experiment, you said, I think like 5 of the 20 you put in came through, but some of the others came out later.
Yeah. So it's all about observation conditions. So it's interesting, when we were short of our molly and without the foliar feeding, I had quite a lot of cocksfoot and no fescue. Now I see there's a whole lot of fescue and not much cocksfoot. But it's all reacting in response to the management.
Yeah.
So you need to do that. The kikuyu is, it's huge. It's also really dominating now too. It's all based on the management. So you need to look at what will grow and try and suit your management to what you're wanting. But at the same time, I've found the less I do, the better. Because generally when I try and intervene, I'll do the wrong thing. And nature doesn't like it. So I only intervene if absolutely necessary. But I think in terms of getting your system going, where Christine Jones says you must, I don't know, for the South African people, it's nitrogen's like the tax man. She says you must cut it over 3 years, 50, 30, 20, like we depreciate our equipment. First year, cut 50% nitrogen, second year, 30, the last year, the last 20. And that would be the way to transition in. Foliar feeding was a very valuable stepping stone for me. And then look at your natural nitrogen cycles. In summer, you got very good nitrogen cycles. So you can probably cut back. So I started from putting urea all year. Then I switched to foliar feeding all year with some granules in winter and switched to LAN. And then I left the granules out of winter. And then I stopped the foliar feeding in summer. And then I eventually stopped the foliar feeding altogether. So those are, I think, are good pointers in terms of getting into the system.
So you also told me about your experience with using manure that you bought in from a feedlot. If you could just expand on that a little bit.
The thought is you look at a dung pat and that pasture is fantastic. So you can't put too much manure. There's a feedlot down the road, huge manure problem. I could get it very cheap. 2017, 2018, I was really battling with that same issue I mentioned before, not enough fiber, not enough grasses in the diet, dominated by herbs and legumes. So I tried all these different things, then I brought the manure in and it switched that grass. The grass then dominated, took over. But what had obviously happened is I'd put all that nitrogen in with the manure, and that had shifted me from more fungal going back to bacterial. And the grasses like the nitrogen. We all know you put lots of nitrogen on, your grasses dominate your legumes. So in terms of that, I think it set me back a bit. The situation where I've now started foliar feeding, the idea is not to impact what's happening in the soil, as little as possible, intervention as small as possible. That's why I've gone for the foliar feed this time, and I think that's been a much better option in terms of not affecting the soil and the biology as much with, say, 20 tons of manure as opposed to 10 kgs of urea in a foliar spray. I think I'm getting the best of both worlds. I'm just patching that little shortage that there is in terms of the nitrogen, and at the same time having limited impact on the whole ecosystem and the biology.